please give a big round of applause to Huobi Australia. They've done a fantastic job filling up a room. There are about 170 different attendees that have RSVP'd via Meetup. I think you've also seen like a $10 discount code. They're doing so much for the community, and we do what we can to support even by just being here itself. I'd like to thank you all for being here too. So to begin off, my name is Jason. I'm the Expansion Director for the NAM blockchain, and we are around the world in 40 countries, and we're easy to use, and we also offer a security tokens platform where you can produce the Mosaic or the equivalent of the ERC20 token. So for those who are new, it's represented by the ZEM cryptocurrency. It's one of the top 20 by market cap right now, and as you've seen in today's markets, it is volatile, but it is exciting as well being in this space. But to really focus on the presentation, it's going to be on the state of blockchain. And before I begin, I'd like to start with a story. The electrification of the US industry, USA, started in the early 20th century. People were entering into the labor force in farming, and when electricity started, it sparked something. People were able to have light bulbs at night to provide education and training. Heating and cooling was developed to allow for people to skill up through the labor force to now be a bit more inventive, which also led to the age of industrialization and to so many things. And we've taken for granted what electricity has done for us. And I'd like to draw this parallel to how in today, the 21st century, security tokens has the potential to electrify the fundraising industry in an unimaginable way. It will create a gravy train that will be like bees to honey looking into this. And one evidence is by looking into the regulators. Just last week, the ASIC was here, and we had John Price, the commissioner, and Mark Adams, the head of strategic intelligence for ASIC, and they say that in the last 6 months, they've been inundated with questions on STOs and securities than in the last 2 years combined. Now, what's happening here? They are taking a closer look into this, and they are actively pursuing proactive and positive regulation with the other 200 regulators around the world. So what we're seeing is, from a regulation perspective, it works. Now, not to steal Alex's thunder on what security token offerings are, but just a blanket general overview, security token is typically a cryptographic token within a regulatory framework, which is represented by a fractional ownership of an underlying asset. So security token, in easy to remember, ST, fractionalized ownership, F, and U, underlying assets. You figure out what you can remember it for. But the idea is that security tokens are going to be a big part of where the world is going for. Now, how does this compare with the famous utility token? Now, in a quick way, utility tokens are a bit like digital tokens that can be exchanged for something. For example, Filecoin raised US $257 million, and that is a utility token to then be able to convert for access to the decentralized storage platform that they have. But to focus on security tokens, it has been taking the world by storm. We've got the likes all the way in Colorado, the St. Regis Aspen Resort raising an $18 million STO, which was just announced last week, and all the way to the attempted greatest STO of the world, which was a $300 million raise for the Keppel Island, which I believe has been changed right now. A private Singapore-Taiwanese investor has took over that. But we also have NASDAQ making announcements that they are developing platforms on STOs, all the way to Polymath, who raised $200 million to do a blockchain-based platform, which is SEC compliant, and with the work of T0, which is a decentralized security token exchange. And we've got companies like Harbor and Open Finance based out of the US working on this as well. So a number of companies are really focused on pushing what STOs will look like. Now, over here in our backyard in Australia, did you know that we have people here that are looking to develop security token offerings? In the likes over here, we've got a Picnic, which is an insurance on a blockchain platform in Sydney, claiming that they are going to do an STO on insurance. We've got also EMU, which is a hardware for quantum computing. In fact, we've got a representative there, Thomas, looking at doing an STO. I believe Metex is looking at it as well, which is looking at the metals exchange, all the way to Perth, where we've got Crowdfund Up looking at property, and Concrete over here in Melbourne looking into something like this as well. And there's a company called Peloton Blockchain looking into developing a securities token exchange in Australia. There's so many things happening besides the flurry of what another way of looking at things in the sideways, the idea of an Australian national blockchain in collaboration with Data61, IBM. I think Howard Wilcox was involved as well in developing something like this. So we're seeing really things moving around here from a blockchain perspective globally. Now, how does this play within the market itself? Now, we've seen, and statistics have shown, 92% of ICOs have failed since 2016, looking through a thing. The Wall Street Journal looked into about 1,200 ICOs and found that almost a quarter of them are actually scams, copies of white papers. And we've also seen the counter opposing point to it, where the World Economic Forum says that 10% of the entire GDP could be on a blockchain by the year 2025. Tim Draper says, an investment guru, the crypto market is going to be an $80 trillion market in the next 15 years. The manufacturing market is going to be a $500 million market by 2025. We've got Walmart, Maersk, FedEx, UPS, British Airways all looking into this. Even our neighbors, Air New Zealand have been looking into this. All the big four banks here. So how does this all work between what security tokens is looking for? I had a conversation with Rory from Takumi and Rick as well, saying, where is STOs in this space? Are we in the baby, toddler, youth, or adult stage? One of them said, we're not even pregnant yet. It's so new and so early into this space that we're waiting for the first one to come out, right? Many people are pregnant with ideas, but the moment a token is up on the secondary market and we can all play with it and actually purchase it, that's when it works. And that's what the working of the 200 regulators around the world right now are looking, all these 200 different governments. It'll be interesting to hear from Rick. Rick's the Malta man. He just came back from Malta, and they are pursuing a lot of security tokens opportunity out there as well. But really, the question is not whether you are for or against security tokens. It's like asking our ancestors whether we are for or against the use of fire. So what then can we look into this? I think that STOs are going to be the future. It's cost effective, it's fast, it's global, it trades 24/7, there's rapid adoption, and as long as the SEC approves it, it's going to go because a regulator has approved it. So right now it's a race to first to market on which regulator approves and which goes into the security token offerings and gets in there. The only negative is the limitation that a regulator would place on security tokens, and that's something that we need to watch out for. So really, in conclusion, the world is evolving in how things are looking like, and there are people looking and chasing into this, and different platforms working into this. So there are about 100 platforms across the world, from the Ethereum platform to Neo, Waves, Cardano, EOS, be it whether they've been pregnant or not. NEM is one of them as well, and we're getting to this space, and we're seeing the trends that we are observing across the world. But the most important thing is that we actually do our proper due diligence and make sure that we understand what a proper definition of security token is within the Australian context, whether it's a managed investment scheme or something else, and also how can we have access to everyone here globally. Ultimately, it's all for us, right? If we can fractionalize our property, it provides more liquidity to our personal life. If we can fractionalize number of our assets and collectibles, it will help us with a lot of the things that we want to go for. Banks used to give business loans, and now we've gone to peer-to-peer business loans. Imagine if you can do an STO loan for yourself in order to grow your business as an entrepreneur. That's what I'm excited about, and that's why I'm looking forward to this panel here. So that's a very quick state of the blockchain, and I just pass the time around to our next speaker. Yeah. Thank you.